Given the advancements of current optical technology and the greed to lure consumers with constantly decreasing prices, a tiny section of independent filmmakers has gained an avenue to enter a tightly knit industry rather easily. We are joined on set by Stephen Jacobson, one such independent filmmaker who will talk about his experience of learning from his failed attempts, emotional distress, sarcasm of humans surrounding him that mandated an ultimate leap of faith. A description fitting not only for his showreel, Healer of the Sight Beyond, but also his initiation into the ludicrous industry of egotistical storytellers. On this episode of The Future Generation, we have Zoey Senzel in conversation with Stephen Jacobson.
So now that your short film is in the works and your journey has begun, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's still stressful. Still got a lot of work to do. But in regards to where we are now, rather than what we still have to do, every step I have is a relief, to be honest. Just getting one step farther, just figuring out shooting dates, getting cast and crew, just making sure I get one step at a time. Each step counts. So I'm relieved, but at the same time, incredibly stressed out. It's a lot of work, just even as small of a film as it is.
I can imagine.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So what is the film about?
Healer of the Sight Beyond is about a couple who encounter extraterrestrial aliens who come to Earth, but for simplicity's sake, they're human. I don't have that big of a budget, so we'll just stick with that. We'll just stick with they look like humans. But basically what these aliens come to Earth for is they declare, hey, we're going to heal humanity of all their afflictions. So that being said, the main protagonist, George Ken, is afflicted with blindness, afflicted being a relative word. He's blind, and he goes to the healer to get help, and he's cured. He can see, everything's fine. Up until his wife starts to slowly lose her vision, slowly and surely. So then George has to ultimately decide, okay, do I just let my wife kind of suffer in the darkness, and do I see, even though we've won this, as long as we've been married, or do I want to put things back to the way they were? It's a very huge dilemma for George to figure out, what's more important, him or herself. And there's the healer also goes through a character arc as well, where she's the alien, the healer, where she has to kind of find the compassion in humanity. She's very cynical, very lacks faith in humanity, and Stella ultimately has to push George's wife, to do what he wants to do. That's also best for the both of them.
So George is basically a typical male. Is that what you're stereotypical man who wants to basically be a man?
Yeah, we could say that. I don't know if exactly stereotypical. I'm trying to avoid stereotypical. But then again, it's hard to avoid stereotypical in the film industry in general.
Right.
So yeah, that's a brief synopsis.
Okay, and why did you decide to make another alien movie? There's so many that exist already.
Well, at this point in my life, since it's my first big project, the thing is that I can't afford to see, okay, who has done what, and what can I do that's completely original. It's based off a short story my father wrote, which we can get into later. And so, yes, it's another alien movie, but what's different about this one is that it has... It's like a sci-fi drama. It's not as much sci-fi like Aliens or like Avengers or like Star Trek or Star Wars. It's also very dramatic and has a lot of humanity in it as well. So.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit? You mentioned that it kind of came from a short story that your father wrote. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it was I think 2008 or 2008 or 2009 when my father wrote this story, The Healer or Healer. He's part of the National Federation of the Blind, this group of chapters that basically supports blind people and gives them jobs and just helps them out. And for the magazine where he submits short stories, he won 3rd place in the story submittal. And basically his story was about George. It had George still. It was very short, very strange. It was quite a strange story, I'll admit. It had George going in blind, but he comes out insane. So that same idea that I have where there's a transfer of this affliction, in this case, the affliction is just completely reversed, or it's completely just messes up the person. They're cured, but something else about them is completely messed up. So that's his iteration of the story. And yeah, I did get it from my dad's short story, so it's really cool.
It's my life. Mine and Stella's. I thought you came here to help people. I thought you came here to heal us. Because you cared about humanity.
Oh, you're mistaken. I came here because I was sent. You think I care about you and your petty life? It's people like you and your wife who do.
Who what?
Who ruined my life.
How?
I was married once. My husband wasn't just a healer. He was a saver. His job was to save people. He's the one who cared about humans. He's the one who cared too much.
I never knew someone could care too much.
He was supposed to save a woman in childbirth. But something went wrong and the baby was in danger too. And he couldn't save them both. But he couldn't make the choice. So he sacrificed his life to save both of theirs.
I've never heard of such compassion.
Compassion! He abandoned me. For humans. For humans he didn't even know.
I'm sorry for your loss. And I'm grateful for what you've done. All my life I've imagined what rainbows and sunsets and moonlight look like. And now that I've seen them, it's more beautiful than I'd ever imagined. But the most beautiful is Stella. I never knew that when she laughed, her eyes sparkled. Or her hair glitters in the sunlight. And now I'll never forget.
I don't understand.
I've seen beautiful things, but I've seen terrible things as well. I've seen Stella scared. I've seen her struggle in the darkness. So I'm asking you to take my sight away and give it back to her.
What?
I'm asking you to make me blind again.
Welcome back. After that snippet from Steven's short film, and before we continue any further, I want to check with our moderator if he wants to relay any audience questions to our guests. Singh, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Zoe. So, Stephen, we're actually getting quite a lot of interesting commentary from the people who are watching this live. We're live streaming this as well. I don't think I mentioned that before,
Right.
but this is being live streamed as well. So, one question which someone asked was that, economically speaking, since you said it's low budget, how big was your budget, and like how much intentionally are you still planning to spend to continue to spend to make this movie, editing and all that stuff? And did you manage to so far? Have you managed to stick to it? Or have you already blown past it and you're kind of putting it on hold because it is a low budget movie, and I know it's kind of I kind of have an idea of how much you're spending because I'm also an independent producer.
Right.
But given it's your first movie and you're just out of college, how bad is it for you in terms of economics?
Well, economically speaking, financially speaking, about the budget, the most I spent on this production was only for a backstage advertisement to get cast. That's about it. Since I'm shooting through a nonprofit organization, the equipment's all there, and the editing's all there. So the editing software and the equipment that I'm using for the production is essentially free. So the only thing I'd really have to spend on is potentially food for crew and cast,
Oh, so you do feed the human beings. That's nice.
Of course, yeah. It's my duty. You know, if I don't pay them anything, I have to pay them in food and
That's
something.
true.
That's
So
my duty.
you're a nice man.
Yeah. Potentially gas money for the cast or crew. But in terms of what I can afford, since I'm going through school, yes, I have a job. It's hard for me right now, since this is my first film, it's kind of hard to lay out a budget, since
You don't really know what you're doing in the first place.
Exactly, correct. So yeah, in terms of budget, not exactly what to do with the budget quite yet in terms of my experience, and yeah, it's very low if anything.
Okay, well, that kind of answers our question. Thank you for that. I do have quite a few questions to go through, but I don't want to take away from our main interview because I can ask these to you later on. But so, Zoey, back to you. You can continue with the George stall, I guess. That's where you were? Some insane person coming out of a blind something? I don't know.
Something along those lines.
All right.
Something like, yeah.
Thank you. Well, the next question I'm going to ask you, I know that you prefer to be a director, to act as a director, but in this case you have to be acting director, producer, and pretty much everything else. So how's that going?
It's stressful. It's quite, like I mentioned before, it's a stressful process when you have everything laying on top of you. Now, in the actual film industry, even though being a director, you know, for big time, you know, box office hits, being a director, it's still, you know, stressful. But you aren't all, in some cases you're also the producer, but you aren't necessarily also the screenwriter and director and editor and everything else. So I'm having to figure everything out mostly on my own. I'm getting help. You know, I'm not by myself, otherwise I'd freak out by now. But it's quite a lot. So it is stressful though. It's stressful, but I'm managing to pull through. So it's, you know, I'm just gonna go with it.
That's great.
Yeah. So
how was putting together a crew? Was it easy or hard?
it was difficult. Putting together a cast and a crew was quite difficult because what I have to learn as a director, especially when I, you know, progress into the film industry, is that they have to work around what I set. If nothing works out what I already set, then I'm gonna have to reschedule. That's gonna cost money in the budget. But so far I've been kind of really pushovery. And I've been like, okay, so yeah, so let's see what your schedule's like and let's work around it. Well, everyone has different schedules. So I had to learn to set in stone. It was a mess. It was a mess. That's all I can say. But that's not to say I'm not getting cast and crew. I'm getting cast and crew. But the process was, you know, it was fun at times and other times it wasn't so fun. But like,
Why?
Because they're fantastically healthy for you.
Well, yeah, but people don't like healthy stuff.
Oh yes, double.
I love healthy
As long as
stuff.
you pay me double.
At least I try to love healthy stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
You know, don't get me wrong, I love sugar. So,
Yeah.
like yesterday, froyo, froyo and ice cream, absolutely that happened.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely that happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like that. See, you're the type of actor I would love to work with. Who likes froyo?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Everyone likes to work with her.
Oh, really?
She's just the best.
Oh, you're the only grumpy one here. That's
I'm grumpy?
yes.
Or was I grumpy?
Like
Yeah, he's grumpy.
since the starting.
He's a big grumpy butt.
Confused. Okay. I was reading her script. She's a talented writer too.
Oh, do you actually talk like that, or are you just pretending to be Shakespearean because you're going to England soon?
Well,
Oh,
it
yes.
comes in and
So, yeah, a Shakespearean actor, going to be a Shakespearean actor, soon going to be a Shakespearean actor, maybe Shakespeare, heading off to England. So, what's the plan? What's the plan?
The plan is to be there for a month. I'm studying at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, also
Oh.
known as RADA.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. Kenneth Branagh, who is the famous Shakespearean actor.
Yes, and director and producer.
Yes, he's also now the president there.
I heard.
It's
Yes.
pretty cool.
Mhm.
And a lot of great people went there. Alan Rickman, late Alan Rickman, and Tom Hiddleston, lots of great actors.
Now, you're talking about people whom American audience might not know about, so they are actually famous just so our people know.
Yes, well, they studied there. That's why I'm mentioning them.
Ah, yes. But Kenneth Branagh, I mean, that's a name in itself, at least in the theater world. That's
in the movie world too. He's just done a lot of stuff. He directed a lot of beautiful movies too. He's
Yes.
directed lately Cinderella in 2015 with
Yes.
Lily James.
Yes.
Fantastic production. He's directed a lot of Shakespeare, Henry V, Hamlet.
Oh, yes.
Lots of great things.
Hamlet was especially word to word, so that was like my personal favorite.
Oh yes, that was very.
Especially the fight scene when they go completely nuts and start trying to kill each other. Which is how fights
work?
should be.
That's exactly right.
okay,
Oh,
so just
all
before
right.
we start, make sure your cell phones are on silent. I don't care if it's
I do have actually quite a lot of questions coming in through our live stream. So one question actually is not about the live stream, it's actually from one of our crew members. So they want to ask,
So, in your movie, aliens come to planet Earth. Do they have their own language that they share with the human beings? Are they using hand gestures? Do they use some other language from planet Earth? How do they communicate with us? We need to know.
So in this film, there is no extraterrestrial language. Since it's my first project, biggest word for me is simplicity. I'm not trying to completely throw in a whole new alien language. That's for later projects. I'm not trying to, do makeup, do CGI. There's a lot that I can't afford for this first production. And one of those is an alien language. And if I did come up with an alien language, I'd want to save it for later projects where I can use it for something much more meaningful to me, much more a feature-length film that I could use it for.
So, in essence, are you saying that it's actually it's a silent movie? Is that what you're saying, or do at least the human beings talk to each other?
Well, it's like how human beings talk to each other. This film is in English, I should say.
Oh, okay.
So So it's all gonna be.
Okay, that sounds good actually. I do have at least one more question that I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's film and since you're on a low budget, and being an independent filmmaker,
Right.
Are you actually using the digital medium to shoot this film, because it's probably cheaper and you have easier access and easy to edit as well? But are you using digital medium, or actually you're going to incorporate traditional film elements to it as well, or how do you plan on what time frame does the movie take place in?
Okay. Well, to answer the first question, I'm using digital since that's what nonprofit organization I'm shooting through. Their equipment is all digital. I would have ideas that would use film where I want to actually take antique film and use that, but not this time. Again, simplicity. But yeah. So just the time period that the healer takes place in is present time. The healers, at the point the actual story takes place, the healers came to Earth a year ago before that. But all in all, it's present time, so everything's going to look the same like how it does today.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. And one more question, which it is close to me as well. You mentioned earlier on in the first segment that it's basically a movie that's based on a short story that your dad wrote.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, at least in the person's opinion who's watching us on live stream, you're paying homage to your father in a way by making this movie. And how true are you? Let's see, what's it? Blah blah blah. Okay, how true are you staying to the actual story, and how much of it is an emotional journey for you?
Well, the biggest thing is that yes, I'm paying homage to my father. He's also blind. He's legally blind. But he can do so many incredible things for being seeing impaired. He can mow the lawn. He does latch hook rugs. He can write short stories. So the only things I really used from the original story was the healer. Just the title, The Healer, the fact that aliens came to Earth to cure many of their afflictions, and George. Most of everything else changed. But when I was looking for an idea to do, I decided to go to that story since it was right there in front of me for all these years. So.
That's good. So you basically had the inspiration at home rather than going out and looking for something. So you're not trying to copy anyone.
No.
You're just going off your own idea of your interpretation of what your dad wrote.
Right. It's an adaptation. Yes.
Adaptation.
Just like like the Hunger Games. It's an adaptation on those.
But just on a low budget.
Just very much low budget. That's right.
Okay. So other than that, are there any? Because you, as we've mentioned before, or backstage when we were talking, you said that you primarily want to be a director, not an independent film producer, not an independent filmmaker, but a director. Any specific reason for that? And do you have any personalities or directors whom you admire and whose work you would wish that in the future, maybe since you're so young, 30 years from now,
right.
someone would look up to you and say, oh, that's the new Martin Scorsese or any of those people?
Well, I won't be a director because I won't be able to run the show for ideas I've had since elementary school. I've had so many ideas since elementary school that I still plan to implement. So that's why I want to be director, so I can run the show. Now, directors who I admire most are J.J. Abrams. I applaud his new Star Wars film and his Star Trek trilogy. I applaud Christopher Nolan for his Dark Knight trilogy, and Steven Spielberg is just phenomenal for everything he's done. He's a great director. So.
All right.
That sounds good. So, Steven, thank you for all that. And I actually realized that I've taken up all the time that from this segment. So,
okay.
Thank you for answering all the questions. We're actually going to head to a short break, and let's see what's coming up on the next episode while we're talking to Steven, and we'll actually be right back.
back to the future generation. We're still in conversation with Steven, and I just wanted to check with Singh to see if he wants to run his mouth and ask any random questions or if he has any from our live audience before we delve into Steven's personal life. Singh, what's happening in your world?
That was a very nice pass to me, Zoe. Thank you, thank you. Quite a lot of random questions asking Steven what color underwear he's wearing, but we're not going to go into that. I'm actually going to pass back to you because it looks like you have quite a few questions to go through. So back to Zoe for that.
All right, thank you. So, how long did it take you to write the script?
Well, I initially came with the idea to do The Healer, my father's story, The Healer, January 30th of this year. So I've been working on it ever since. So I started the script that day. I've done 6, 7, or 8 drafts of the script. So I've been working on the script, I won't say nonstop because I was in school. I was in my last semester at Montgomery College. So yeah, it probably took total the amount of drafts, maybe about a full day if you combine all the hours together. Probably about a full day to just do the script, all the fixes, and all the shabattering. So.
And are there any more short films that you're planning on working on in the future?
That's a good question. I have a lot of feature-length ideas, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get them out right away.
It's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. It's coming from me. But regards to short film, I'm already looking at ideas, but with the process that's already occurred for this film, and with other ideas that I don't have for other short films, what I'll probably end up doing is just holding off another project till after I get out of school in the next 2 years. After that, I'm going to get rocking and rolling back to making films and working and whatever else I need to do to kickstart my life off. So.
Steven is in the bathroom. We can't see him, but he's in the bathroom. I don't know what he's doing with the camera, maybe making a porn movie.
Sounds like him.
You so glad there's no audio.
I know, I'm so happy too.
Well, not pink braid, 2 dubs, so.
I showed him my blue one.
I think this fuchsia one is awesome as shit.
Yeah, you can get other ones. It is.
I like that color.
Okay.
That's actually my theme color, but I don't know.
Okay. You're supposed to change it for white.
Go ahead and put the boom mic right over there.
Yeah,
he's in the shot.
Is the cereal in the shot?
I'm sorry?
Cereal is in the shot.
It is now.
The bowl of cereal is in the shot.
Yes.
So you need more cereal then?
No, I have some left.
Oh, okay.
Is
that
God damn it, I thought you meant the bowl. Okay, here, pour more in.
I can eat it.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
Just finish it up and
I have some left.
Alright, cool. Alright.
I deliberately left some for you.
Okay, God, what is on? You dropped the cherry on the floor.
Are we
Fuck
good?
you, I'm blind!
Are we good?
Yes, we're good.
Okay.